That's a shot from our own hidden camera here in the studio, somewhere hidden somewhere. And many parents are using video cameras under surveillance to watch nannies. We have heard some horror stories here today. Laurie has 5 important tips that we should ask in an interview. But before we get that, Rebecca, you were trying to say something just before the break.
I just wanted to mention this situation with Joe and Donna and Ann shows that good parents who are in touch with their children don't need a camera in the house to figure out what's going on.
What do you say?
My question is, the hairs on my head is standing up, all right? Videotaping, you don't know a person until you observe them. And you have to observe a person for a period of time. And the children, they don't have a voice, all right? And if this camera is showing that they're being abused, it's not just the hitting, but even the language that was used. The lady said something in respects to when you're doing the interview, they're not even asking questions about my child's social development. What are you going to do with that? First of all, we just taking it as a job. You have to have a love for children to want to take care of children. And if you don't love children, I don't care whether you videotape or you sit there and go through an interview, they're not going to treat your child the way you would want them to treat it. And then nobody's not going to treat your child the way you would treat them anyway, because they didn't have your child.
Laurie, you have 5 tips. Things parents should ask in an interview for a potential nanny.
Well, I want to talk about the tips, but as we ask these questions, and I agree with the nannies, it's very important about their education and their training and what they can give to your children and what experience they've had. Because if you lose those first 3 years, that is very, very difficult. The first one is really to ask them about their own family experience. You really learn a lot about the nanny, about how they were raised, how were they disciplined, how were they rewarded, how were they nurtured. You'll get a really good idea of what they may do in your own home, if what they've done when they were growing up and what they were doing with your own children. We believe you should ask them if they will agree to a background check and random videotaping. Right then you'll know how they feel about it, and if you believe in taping and they won't do it, then they're perhaps not the right person for your home. We also believe you should ask age-appropriate questions. Somebody who might be appropriate to take care of a baby and infant when they're sleeping 16 hours a day might not be appropriate to help develop, read, sing, and teach your child. So, for example, with an infant, you should ask them how they would handle colic, which lasts about 3 months, and it's a lot of pain for the baby, and there's a lot of crying, which if someone doesn't have patience, it could really be a problem. A good answer to that would be to comfort the child is the most important, and to nurture them and to hold them. If someone says that they would spank them to get them to stop crying, or they would ignore them and leave them in the crib and cry, that's obviously not an appropriate answer and probably not the person for you. For an example, for a toddler, we all know, and I've got a daughter who's 2, temper tantrums. Ask them how they would deal with that. That's a really good question. And you could trip up a lot of people to find out where they are in that issue. A good answer would be, for a temper tantrum, either to try to soothe them and to also make sure that they will not hurt anybody else, including yourself, including their selves, not to throw them in a corner and to yell back at them. Ask them very specifically about their work history, what their training is, what their education is. Specifics about their past jobs is very, very important. And also when you're checking your references, to make sure that what they say, and also to find out what appeals to this person about your own position. And you'll find out a lot if they just need a job and they're going to take any job, or if this job is special to them for a specific reason, the age of your children, the hours of the job, the kind of family you are, etc.
Okay, thank you. We're going to have some final thoughts in just a minute.